Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Jacquelene and you're on Soul Star Radio, and I'm coming to you live from a very interesting lounge room. And today I'm going to actually just give you a bit of an educational show, for those who are working on their development. It's really interesting how as you develop spiritually, there's a lot of changes that you'll go through, and they can be physical, they're definitely spiritual, they can be emotional, and it can also really affect your interrelationships with other people. And so as you go through these different evolutions, some people will stay around you, other people will be moved from you, and that can be quite involuntary. Shifts happen. Sometimes it happens without the F. So in light of that kind of energy, it's really about how do we deal with that evolution? How do we deal with, the energy and all that sort of thing? I think I wanted to talk today about chakras, which, I may be mispronouncing. Some people get very upset and they go, it's chakra, Jacquelene, chakra. It's like charcoal, which, some people can draw with charcoal, other people need it to pump their stomach. I'm just going to get into that and talk about the chakras today. I'll be sending this to my son later. One of my sons is studying with me. He's studying healing, and we're actually studying the chakras at the moment. So he'll be able to watch and listen to this when he's on his way to work. And so hello. I'll keep his privacy because otherwise he might get upset with me. I'll start off by saying that it's really important to work in a circle of light and to be very aware of your mental health when you're starting to work with spiritual development growth, and even at any point through your training, your practice, to keep checking in. How am I feeling today? Am I functioning? How's my cognition going? My memory? Am I perceiving things correctly against normal circumstances? And so that's the calibrating and recalibrating that I actually do daily, sometimes several times a day. And it will be that I'll go, around the corner, the lights will be, and it'll be either red or green, or it could be orange. I could pick up that there's a white car that can't make up its mind where it's going and it's holding everyone up, and I'll just get around the corner and sure enough, boom, there it is. And I'm like, yep, all right, we're switched on. Now, I already know I'm switched on, but I'm like, okay, but are my perceptions actually happening? Is this actually real? Is what I'm picking up, what actually eventuates? And so I'm checking that on those sorts of smaller issues, whilst each day I also now am very conscious of the need to journal feelings. And when you're giving out a lot of healing, you're holding space for people emotionally, and you're doing readings for people, it's always about what they're feeling, but it can be very easy to forget to check in with how you're feeling. So apparently my cat's joining me. There she is. Say hi. Hi. No, apparently not. So apparently you have to check in with a cat too. So it's good to check in with feelings and possibly your pet's feelings. Pets can actually act erratically, and when that's happening or they're reacting to you differently, that could actually be a sign. Maybe that's why she stepped up and went, hi, I'm just here, and thought I'd join you. That or she just loves attention. But, so checking in with your feelings is very important. Checking in with, that what you're saying is actually accurate is also important. But when we're dealing with chakras and getting onto that, the first chakra I'll talk about is a base chakra. That's actually at the base of your spine. And when we're looking at that chakra, it's about the size of a coin. Apparently you're going to get the base chakra right there. Yep, there you go. All right, she's now sitting on the base chakra. So the base chakra is red. So if we want to look at the chakras, it's really good to look at the colours of the chakras to do with, colours in nature. Getting a knee rub now. Colours in nature, colours in food, and the feeling of colours and how we associate colours. So when we look at base chakra, we're looking at red. And so we're dealing there with the element of fire in a way, because literally Shakti is in there, that's that real rising of the fire. So that resides in there, and we raise a Kundalini, we're raising the fire. But on base chakra issues, we're dealing with issues of material security, financial security and health. sense of wealth. It's fight or flight in a way. And it's a real base needs of security or the feelings of a lack of security. If we look at, in everyday living, you've got the red light, traffic light, which means stop, and you've got stop sign, which are red, which means stop. So red is also, if we look at the body, we're dealing with, the lifeblood, so vitality, or chi is often, chi is seen as life essence, which is blood, and blood is red. And so when we're looking at red in nature, we're dealing with, your deeper, darker summer sunsets. We're dealing with fire. Now, fire actually has a couple of colours in it, sometimes more, but I'll deal with the red part of that right now. You've got red roses. You've got certain flowers that only come in red. I can't remember them off the top of my head just at this second. And so that's that sort of red thing. And also you hear of the terms red rag to a bull. So red, it can be that fight or flight and that real let's go get them. It can be rage as well. It can also be focus and passion. There are the really what we see as positive and good influences of red, and then you've got the sides of red that, might be challenges or might be, certainly issues that people want to be dealing with. And, of course, I've got red in my hair. Red can be energising. If you put a red scarf around your throat, when you're going to a meeting, it's a lot easier to say what you really need to say. Whereas someone who is naturally terribly assertive, they might need to wear a blue, like the cobalt blue I'm wearing. They might need to wear blue around their neck, or maybe a lapis lazuli, which is calming, soothing down. I've got a friend who wears lapis. I used to wear lapis when I was a fiery person back in the day too. But I'm thinking of someone who's quite fiery and wears lapis around the throat. And so it sort of, fits. You can also wear blue lace agate for people who are fiery and a bit, that also is soothing and calming, and it can actually help with that sort of sense of peace, which blue does. We've got that chakra there, so we're dealing with that one. Now, when you're working with the chakras, you can use breath meditation, and I probably won't show you that today, but you can actually, visualize the chakras, breathe into that area, and imagine them spinning and turning. And you can actually do it as seeing it as that double helix, so spinning and turning two ways at once. Some people will just see it spinning one way, but I think spinning two ways, because when I used to just do one way, I'd find my back would actually be tilted a bit. Wasn't even hula hooping, but look that I've twisted slightly. So it can be that the double helix works for you better. If you're not getting affected, well, great, just do what works for you. But you breathe the energy into there, so you're breathing in the light into that chakra, both from upwards and downwards, so from Mother Earth and Father Sky, and then breathe that in, and then as you're breathing out, you're sending that red energy out all around you into your aura. And if you're visualizing that red, you're really getting very focused, very grounded. So if you're having trouble with feeling a bit vague, you can really work on that base chakra and use those red colours, and it'll help you focus. If you're a very fiery person and you're wanting to calm that farm, not sure that red's the one for you just at that point in time. There might be days where you're feeling a bit sort of tired, and that's where that red can actually help you. So the next chakra up is actually the sacral chakra, and it's just below the belly button, and once again, about the size of, can't remember. I know for me, I sort of see it as the size of an orange. But you're looking at, in nature, once again, oranges I just spoke about. And by the way, red foods. Let's get back to that for a second. Red foods, you've got tomatoes, you've got, beetroots, which has an element of red and an element of purple in it. You've got, red capsicum, red chili. So you sort of got those fiery sort of foods there, and when we come up to the sacral chakra, we've got the orange, you've got root vegetables like your sweet potato, which is an orange in colour, you've got pumpkin, you've got carrot, and they're very grounding foods for someone sort of feeling a bit sort of out of it. That can be because they're having a lot of emotional trauma that's making them dissociate a bit. So sometimes having good, orange-coloured root vegetable type foods can actually bring them back in. It's sort of a comfort food without being fattening, so it actually really help you sort of get in touch with that in a soft and gentle way. Orange is also the colour of our sexuality. So, of course, it's the sacral chakra is in the sacral area, and it's in the reproductive area. So it's about creativity. The ultimate form of creativity is right there. It's sensuality. It's a deeper sense of wisdom. There's also family, karma, ancestral timelines going on in that kind of colour, because right near the dantian or conception point. And it's also, it's an area where we can really feel enjoyment, of the deeper sort of senses of feeling. So it can be touch, taste, smell, it's that sense of feeling and the senses being, enjoying, so particularly around food. And that orange chakra, when we look in nature, we've got, calendula, and so that's marigold. You've got a lot of different orange flowers out there that will relate to that chakra, of course, because anything orange is going to relate to that chakra. In nature, we've got the orange part of the flame, so we're getting closer to the actual wick in that. So the red is really on the outside of the flame. We're getting closer into the flame in that, the candle light. Orange is also like the campfire. You get that sort of glow happening. And so there's a sense of communal energy there. When we bring in the coral, sandstony kind of colours, you get that real feeling of people gathered around a campfire. So there can be a really relaxing sort of sense of that. When people are trying to overcome shock, trauma and abuse, orange is a great colour, or its opposite, which can actually be turquoise, because with each of the colours there's actually the opposite polarity. And so what's happening over here with this colour, if it's sort of, stressed, you can bring in the other colour to give it space. So when we're dealing with that base chakra, red, fire, we bring in green, which is the opposite to red, and you've got the space to breathe through the issues, which you think of stop, go. So the red of the traffic light, the green of the traffic light, stop, go, and the ability to, and when you think of that deep breath, in that heart and that green, and in that chest area, it's actually helping calm down, because when you're sort of freaked out and you're on that base chakra, it's like, oh my God, blah, 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 it's really moving fast, but it's not getting anywhere. And you're needing to stop, calm down and breathe. So this is why the polarities kind of speak to each other, those different colours, those different opposites speak to each other. But back to that sacral chakra, it's about that clearing of any shock, trauma and abuse, and being able to come back to joy and find the wisdom in the situation. And sometimes we can have things going in our life that can seem quite traumatic, but they can actually be the bearers of great wisdom later. Not that you would want people to go through that, but sometimes that happens. So coming up to the next chakra, we've actually got that solar plexus, and that's just above the belly button and just at the, just here in the ribs. And so usually the size of a dinner plate. And you think of solar plexus, so solar meaning sun, and, that's yellow in colour, so we're dealing with literally the energy of the sun. We're dealing with clairsentience there, so clear feeling, gut feeling. And you're dealing with, your blood sugar levels, your immunity, and yellow is also earth, spleen qi in Chinese medicine. And in that colour and that energy, we're dealing with a person's will to get moving, their willpower. If that area is weak, we can be dealing with fatigue. And, it's also in yellow, we see the sunny side, or we can be masking, using the idea of the sunny side. So sometimes you can see people who are not actually happy will have a lot of yellow in their aura, because they can be masking it with the appearance of that. And so in that yellow is a sense of personal empowerment, discernment, judgment, and the ego, which doesn't have to be a dirty word. Ego doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's how we deal with it. And anything in life, it is how we deal with it. So if we think of yellow, we've got, once again, in nature, the sun. We've got sand, they're different colour sands, but we do have yellow in there. Very close to the wick, right in almost the centre, you have the yellow in the flame. Now, sometimes the candle flame, you'll actually see flickers of green, flickers of blue, flickers of violet, and sometimes flickers of pink. So they're sort of the candle flame, that which illuminates, and solar, sun, to light up the day. So there can be sort of a story there on the depths of that. And there can be, candle meditation can really help with clearing the chakras out as well, because you can actually imagine the flame going through you. And we talked about that Kundalini fire in a different way a minute ago. So it's really about igniting your energy and having that get up and go. And that's what that solar plexus is about in a lot of ways. So you can meditate on that and it'll help you. If you think of foods that are yellow, you think of lemon. And, of course, lemon is the colour yellow, and that, once again, is about the feelings. And if we cut the lemon lengthways, you actually, not downways with the circle bit, but lengthways, you get this really interesting shape, which is correlates, like it looks just like the aerial view of the trachea. So when we have a sore throat, we're often told to have lemon in tea. And why do we get a sore throat? Because we can't speak what? Feelings. Feelings about feeling disempowered or something like that. That can be an emotional link to, psychosomatic kind of link point to the feelings and then the physical. But just remember, of course, there's always, other things that can be going on that purely medical. But I'm just speaking on more the, the psychosomatic side, because there can be the interlinking. And certainly when we're not well, we can feel worse emotionally, or we can be made more unwell because of our feelings. It can sort of interact, of course. So if you think of yellow, you're also thinking of deep joy. If you think of the polarity of yellow, we have violet or purple. And in purple, we can find psychological transformation and healing, but we can also find deep grief. So this is where you get the link points of those colours and how they relate in. So yellow will, is and that solar plexus is an area that people often have to clear the most, because, what they're feeling might not be lining up with what they're saying, and what they're hearing they might not be feeling terribly good about it, and there can be a whole clearing process needing to go on there. So that's that solar plexus chakra. We move up, of course, into the heart, and the heart chakra actually lines up with the thymus gland, interestingly, on the endocrine system. And what we're dealing with there is the colour green. I'm having cat therapy. She's still there. So green, the heart chakra, and that's that, once again, if you think of in nature, you're thinking of the forest, you're thinking of the beautiful green, wide open spaces, and when you're in the forest or in the wide open space, a great big green paddock for miles, and you go, that's that real breathing in and releasing and letting go. And so, in that energy is interesting, although green is the go traffic light, there's also the ability to stop and breathe and take a moment and to be able to start seeing the forest for the trees, which when people are trying to think their emotions, they actually can't really feel into that and sort of find that peace, which when we're in that balanced space in the heart, we can. And anything spoken from the heart will tend to be balanced. So, when I've done, reading, on the radio and stuff like that for other places was, I'd go on to radio channels where I might feel that it's not all going to be all that positive, and they've started off with a like this, but because I've gone in there and I've breathed into the heart, I've called on my ancestors, I've called on the ancestors of the land on which I'm working at the time, and paid my respects and acknowledgement. And then I've gone into the heart, and then that interview that was only supposed to go for 5 minutes, particularly in one case, was supposed to go 5 minutes, went 25 minutes, was replayed 3 times. And this is on a major channel, and they don't normally do that so much. But boy, there it was. But it was because it was coming from the heart space. It wasn't about me being on there. It was about what was coming straight through. And because it was balanced from the heart, it was a lot easier to speak in a way that felt really truthful to me. So that's the heart chakra. We don't have much of the show left to speak about the other chakras, and we might need to, cover that in the next show. But this is great homework for my son and for anyone wanting to develop working on the chakras. And you can listen back to this. But green foods, what are they? Leafy greens, your spinach, your lettuce, your rocket, all these sorts of leafy green vegetables are right in that green. You've got the green beans, snow peas, and if you think of broccoli, broccoli is shaped like what? The lungs. And, of course, it's green, so it's energising that lung area. So, in holistic nutrition, the way we look at it energetically, that's what that is traditionally seen as. And, of course, nutritionists and dietitians can have a good argument about that later. And scientists can too. But, that's just how it's seen traditionally. So that's what the heart chakra is, and that's a really important chakra. It's an important point for us to listen to. And when people first start to listen to the heart, it can be interesting because there can be a lot going on there that is unacknowledged, particularly unacknowledged grief, unacknowledged feelings. And that's where journaling is really helpful. And I've certainly been told off and needing to do that quite a lot lately. So thank you to all those people who told me to journal. It is a reflection on the fact that I'm always telling people to journal. And it's important to get in touch with your feelings, because then if you know what you're feeling, you know what you're actually happy about doing, rather than, as I said at the start of the show, a lot of psychics will know what everyone else is feeling and be there for those other people, but they're needing to get in touch with their own feelings to know what actually makes them happy. And so, if you're always making everyone else happy, then you're not stopping to go, hang on, is that making me happy? So that heart chakra is really important, and it's really important to be very caring and gentle with that. And if you're going through a lot right now and you are near the sea, a really helpful thing for your heart, for your mind, just for every part of you really, as long as it's not subarctic temperatures perhaps, is to jump in the sea. Maybe check, the safety of that first and how deep it is and whether you can swim. But even just sitting by the beach, you're going to get a lot of immediate feelings of calm, particularly if you're grieving, particularly there's a lot going on emotionally. If you're angry and really fired up, probably don't go to the sea, go to the forest, go to the woods. That would help fuel and calm the fire. It'll build it up too in nature, but if you've got fiery stuff going on in you, wood will calm that. It'll replenish you. If you go to the sea when you're feeling grief, it'll help wash it away. If there are toxic relationships around you that have been really heavy, once again, the sea will wash that away if you're grieving. And certainly I was speaking to a good friend this morning, and she was saying how she has quite a few Greek friends, and they have in these particular people's case a bit of a tradition that if there's grief going on, they go to the sea. And at midnight. Okay, fine. I've heard of that one before. Probably want to just once again check the safety of that. But the sea at any time is really good. And I know that you certainly can put out your wishes, put out things you want to release into the care of Mother Ocean. So think of your Maya. There's that sense of going out right up to this depth with a plate of flowers and a candle, and we put out our wishes to Yamaya, and we ask that they be granted. And if she's going to grant it, she takes it out into the sea and goes down into the water. And if she's not, well, yeah, it's coming back. Here comes your candle and your plate, and you better get out of the water pretty quick. In other words, she's not going to cooperate. But I kind of worry about pollution with that one. But I'm sure that if you just go into the ocean, you have a bit of a chat, ask the element of water, whatever cultural reference that is, you can actually ask for that to be washed away, because there's nothing quite like the cleansing, healing action of the ocean, and that's that tide of, sending things away. So you sort of think of that, and there's that element of water. We talked about fire in Shakti, in that base chakra. So definitely in the heart we see the fire. In Chinese medicine, heart is seen as fire. Lung, which is right in that region, is seen as metal, which is air, and of course lungs is the airways. So it's really interesting when people get sinusitis, and it's like, all right, who's gotten up your nose? So it's just something to think about. That's all we've been able to get through today. I'm going to do the other set of chakras, the rest of them, next week. So I hope that you get a lot from that. You can take notes. I suggest going out and having a think for yourself about those chakras and going, I get this and this and this. I've really just started the conversation for you to have a think about. So they're really handy to know about and to work with. And if you're learning how to energize each chakra, clear, cleanse, energize, then you can find a lot of stuff start shifting in your life and shifting in your energy field, and your vision will be clearer. But do be prepared that there'll be a lot of change. There'll be a lot of energetic change, and that can be quite strong. And sometimes what looks like things falling apart can actually be the rebuilding of things into what they were meant to be in the first place. So with that, I'll end the show today. I'll wish you a happy week, and I'll catch you next time on Soulstar Radio from who knows where. But I'll be back same bat time, same bat channel if you're in the US, and if you're in Australia, it'll be a different time, but you can follow that one. It'll be 12 o'clock next week, I think. or the week after. We'll find out. It'll be posted. In any case, I'm going to wish you the best and send you lots of love and light and catch you next time. Bye-bye.